Tapping a plastic card at the register delivers an immediate rush of acquisition, but that initial high often turns into a quiet sense of dread 30 days later when the monthly statement actually arrives in your inbox. This cycle is driven by the fake purchasing power illusion. Modern credit systems make consumers feel wealthy at the exact moment they are becoming poorer. To see how this mechanism works in practice, imagine you are shopping for a new living room sofa. You find the perfect one, and the price tag says $2,000. Paying for that furniture in cash requires physically counting out 20 $100 bills. This act of surrendering physical currency creates immediate hesitation and psychological discomfort. Tapping a card removes that friction. Because the money doesn't leave your hands, the transaction feels like a spontaneous, almost free upgrade to your lifestyle. That lack of friction is an engineered entry point into a behavioral trap that successfully masks the reality of actual financial loss. Researchers at the MIT Sloan School of Management have measured this phenomenon. Professor Drazen Prelek studies the psychology of spending. Prelek identified a concept called the moral tax on consumption. This is the built-in psychological sting, the guilt humans feel when they break personal financial rules to make an expensive purchase. Credit cards effectively bypass this internal alarm system by disconnecting the pleasure of the transaction from the pain of the payment. To test this, his team ran a silent auction for sold-out Boston Celtics basketball tickets. They split the bidders into two groups. One half could only pay with cash, and the other half could only use a credit card. This chart shows the results of that auction. The data reveals that the people using credit cards bid more than twice as much as those restricted to cash. The results suggest that to the human brain, a dollar spent on credit feels like it only costs 50 cents. This psychological gap between perception and cost makes overspending almost inevitable. Once your psychological defense is bypassed at the register, cold mathematics take control of the transaction. The primary tool here is the annual percentage rate, or APR. This is a recurring fee charged for the privilege of maintaining the illusion of having money you do not actually possess. Consider our $2,000 sofa. Put this on a card with a 24% APR, and a secondary accumulating cost attaches itself. As months pass, that interest relentlessly compounds. The original $2,000 debt secretly inflates to $2,500 and marches toward $3,000. Interest functions as a hidden multiplier, retroactively increasing the true cost of an item long after the initial joy of the purchase has faded. To ensure that multiplier runs for as long as possible, banks use a carefully calibrated mechanism, the minimum payment. Minimum payments are precisely formulated to cover the generated interest. They allow only a tiny fraction of your money to reduce the actual principal debt. This graph shows paying a standard minimum of $50 a month. The principal balance decreases at an agonizingly slow rate, while the cumulative total paid rockets upward. It takes over a decade to clear the balance. That same sofa will cost you over $4,000. Minimum payments function as a deliberate wealth extraction tool, designed to keep you paying for an item until long after its useful life has ended. The trap relies on these three threads. The absence of the moral tax triggers the purchase, interest inflates the price, and minimum payments stretch the extraction over decades. Credit cards act as behavioral traps, where the manufactured illusion of wealth facilitates a predictable and ongoing financial drain. Beating this system requires manually reconnecting the pain of the payment to the joy of the purchase. This means treating credit cards strictly like debit cards, paying the balance in full immediately, or reverting to physical cash to aggressively reinstate that moral tax into your daily decisions. Subscribe if you want to understand money without confusion. Real purchasing power requires aligning mathematical reality with the psychological friction of payment.